good? Thank you, ma'am.
Amanda, could you check that, please? Thank you.
Okay, we're going to call to order the specially called City Council meeting on Thursday, September 12th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. Please call the roll.
Anderson.
Here.
Mensch.
Here.
Cahill. Rolfs. Marcier.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Delar.
Here.
Faragher. 6 present.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, not seeing any public and knowing that Knight is going to be talking here towards the end of the meeting, we'll proceed with Ordinance 2718, authorizing the purchase of right-of-way and easements in an 18.92 acre subdivision for the proposed vacant land south and adjoining Porter Martin subdivision, 8th edition. So I'll let Keith kind of take that away if you're ready.
This is for the Housing and Urban Development Grant that the city received for the extension of Martin Avenue from the current limit near the Assisted Living Center all the way over to 10th Street. There is no dedicated right-of-way. Where the improvements end is where the dedications of right-of-way and easements ended when the subdivision was developed. This continues the right-of-way over to 10th Street, provides an easement for the sanitary sewer as well as an easement for the detention pond for the improvements.
Okay. Any other questions for
Yes.
Keith? Okay.
On your drawing here, I notice we have not allowed any area at the bottom of the drawing, which would be your new lot 1, 2, down in that area, for 9th Street to continue south to Martin Avenue. I was just thinking we ought to maybe be thinking in the future and get a right-of-way or whatever we need now so that that street could be put in there at a later date.
The property that the Martins own does go up to Porter, but it's only 33 feet wide. To get a road wide away through there, we'd have to get property
Something from
from
the
the
school.
school district. They would have to take out some of their parking lot to accommodate that. The concept plans, and again, they're over 20 years old, so it's been a long time, but the concept plans from the developer of that property did not have 9th Avenue coming down to Martin Avenue.
Okay, well, actually, I'm thinking at the south end right now at Porter of leaving a space somewhere down there to come through to Porter Avenue. Otherwise, if we don't put 9th Street in, there is not a north-south street from the Courthouse Road clear over to Belmont Avenue. And that would also landlock the east side of the high school property that they couldn't even get in and out. I just thought if we had the ability to build 9th Street someday in the future, we ought to make provisions on the south end of it right now.
Okay, so look into that after we get this done, is what you're saying?
Well, I don't know, I would assume we could, yeah. I
Okay.
don't know, we could just shift these new lots down 60 feet or
Because
something of that neighborhood, but anyway, I'm just saying,
so you're saying come. Sorry.
do we or do we not want to plan ahead for a possible street there?
And if it's my understanding, the school is still trying to work on whatever addition they're going to be. So would that be something that we need to know what they want to do if they do make it into a one campus between
Possibly.
Wanda and all that?
Possibly, but I would think that they would want some sort of egress at the east end of their property, because
Well-
they don't have anything till you get clear up to the parking lot on Martin Avenue, because that's got all the duplexes along the south side.
Plus, if they make it wide enough for a road, it's gonna affect lot number 1. It's gonna, you can't build a duplex right there in the way if there's gonna be a 36-foot road there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we build a duplex or anything in that area, then you're not going to put a road in.
Right.
No, I guess that's something that we can look into in the future, in the near future on that.
What's
Yeah,
your
but-
opinion, Keith?
I could talk with the property owner about it and see, the concern was trying to keep the lots that are in here out of the floodplain. The lots could be shifted down, so I can talk to the property owner and see if there's something leave a 66-foot strip there and just move those lots over and see if they'd be amenable to that.
Yeah, whatever your normal right of way. Did you say 60 or 66, you said?
It would be 66. Martin Avenue, we're only getting 60 feet of right-of-way because that matches the right-of-way that was to the west of there. It didn't make sense to widen it halfway through the road. If we're getting for a new road, I would go with the current ordinance and put the full 66 feet in.
And the north end, there is 30 feet presently? I know there was a strip
It's 30, they
proposed
have,
as
yeah,
part of
they
the
have,
street.
the Martins own 30.15 feet next to the last lot there on Porter. Again, if the other part would have to come from the school, and then the road would do a little bit of a jog as it comes to the south, but it wouldn't be very significant. It'd only move about half a road over
Mhm.
as it goes from Porter down to Martin.
Okay, well,
I just think that would maybe make traffic easier in the future or something.
right.
It's just something that, while we're doing it, maybe we ought to just be thinking a little farther down the road and leave us land to do it with.
John, would that affect the ordinance the way it's written, I'm assuming?
Well, I'm assuming that's a later action at this point. Right now, we need to get this thing going.
This is for the monetary compensation for the amount of land. This is,
Okay.
the plat will still have to go through the plan commission and the council to get approval.
Okay.
If the council agrees to the monetary amounts tonight, I'll reach out to Kankar to try to get some kind of resolution between the city and the owner so that we can get started. Because it'll, I don't know how often you have your plan commission meetings, but again, we want to get this going,
Yeah.
so.
You would be adding another 66 feet of right-of-way, possibly of purchase though, correct? Because
Yeah, because the lots right now are 88 feet wide, or 86 feet wide.
I doubt he's gonna let us shift it and give us 66 feet of right-of-way. You're gonna end up having to purchase more land or more right-of-way from them.
Right. And see, the original possible second ingress egress, to my understanding, was to head south from, would it be that first road, Hanson, and go through his home site over there. So I get what you're saying, Don, but I think to get this moving and yet this construction season, I think we gotta move on this. We can always discuss that in the future.
Yeah, I don't,
And/or it's a lot purchased later and
And that's not being farmed, so should
Right.
be a different story.
Okay.
So with that, we need a motion and a second to move ahead.
So we're buying 18.9 acres at 10,800 an acre, right?
4.8, 4 point what?
no, the 18.92 is the total subdivision. It's closer to 5 acres between right-of-way and easement.
Oh, I see.
It's just for the road. And,
And it's 10,008 an acre?
Yeah, yeah, the bulk part of the farm is still considered a lot, even though it's not being subdivided at this time. Keeping the subdivision over a certain acreage allows it to be, the undeveloped parts to be taxed as farmland versus residential.
and this cost was built into the grant.
This is part of the grant, yes. There will be no cost out of the city. This is all being paid for by the grant.
I assume those are current appraisals?
Yes.
Need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion then.
No second.
Roll call when you're ready.
Delar.
Aye.
Cahill. Miller.
Aye.
Marcier.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Mensch.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, we now have item number 6, resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code, code, reducing the RBI funds on Mulberry Street to the 2023 or the 2023 MFT project. Keith, if you want to explain that, and might as well explain what, 7 also?
Sure,
Or whatever else needs to be explained with that.
there was monies obligated for the Rebuild Illinois money for last year's improvements on Mulberry Street. The project cost came in under what was obligated for it, so we have to unobligate it. So the money is still in the MFT account, but the state considers it obligated until you have a resolution to unobligate it. These funds are gonna be used towards the North Street project. The Rebuild Illinois money has a sunset. It either gets spent by July of next year or the state takes the money back. So we're moving it from the Mulberry Street over to the North Street project so we can expend it. It's almost $73,000.
Will this actually start the project on North Street? I mean,
We are waiting on, it's a,
what else is it?
What did I
What is
tell
there to deal with?
there is, the last component that I have to get is a maintenance consent letter from the railroad. We were supposed to have had it at least last week. The state needs that to finalize the agreement. So we're reaching out on a regular basis to the railroad, calling, emailing, whatever we can to get this. We just need a letter from them. The letter gets part of the contract documents, and then the contractor has to adhere to that during construction, because we're replacing up to the railroad ties.
Is this any of the same people that we dealt with on
It's
the other
a
project?
different group, unfortunately. The guy that I deal with the underground is a little more responsive. This is, they're using a consultant for this work.
Okay, and we'll be squeaky wheel on this every day?
Yes, there is still time. The plan is it will be constructed this year.
It has to be constructed
Yes,
this year.
it will be constructed
Okay.
this year.
Is this ready to go out to bid yet?
We are ready for bid, yes.
Just this one document from the railroad.
IDOT won't post on their bulletin without this maintenance letter.
It's something the railroad produces. It's not a form that we can do and give to them. It's something they have to produce. I would imagine it's a relatively straight template form that they have, so I don't understand what the delay is.
We gotta keep on them.
There was a
We
letting-
are, I promise you, we are keeping on them.
There was a letting yesterday, so the next one won't be until October. Right?
Every week they do it.
Every
They're gonna
Thursday.
do a new letting?
The state has larger lettings that they do with the federal funds. This goes on what's called their bulletin, so they do this every week. So if we get the railroad letter, it gets on next week's bulletin. We'll miss the council meeting, but we can have it the Tuesday after.
We have to do another special, we'll get another special. That's
It
gotta be
it
done.
would be the Tuesday after your regular council at this point, so,
It's gotta be done.
yes.
You gotta be on them.
I know I've asked you this before, but you're gonna mill this 6 inches, right?
Correct.
And then you're putting in two 2-inch lifts, or 3 2-inch lifts?
There'll be two 2-inch lifts of binder and a 2-inch lift of surface.
Okay.
Is it possible to build contingencies in case something happens to this asphalt plant in Gilman? And where else we can go?
Yeah, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't care what it costs.
I mean, we'll reach out to Gallagher. They have a plant in Bourbonnais. They're closer. I mean, if they'll entertain the idea of coming down here. I mean, we send the plans to them. So,
I mean, we gotta have a plan B. You're in agreement with that, everybody, right?
Yeah, this can't go on into winter.
No.
no.
Okay, so that's item 6, 7, and was that also part of 8 that you mentioned, Keith?
Eight was just a supplemental resolution. We'd passed a resolution previously to use MFT money on the project. Just based on the estimate we have, we wanted to pass a supplemental for a few dollars more, 20,000 more. If that way, if it does happen to go over, we don't have to come back to the council. Again, if the money isn't spent, it gets de-obligated at the end of the project, so you don't lose it. It's just, the state kind of puts a paper clip on it, and then when you de-obligate it, they just take it off. So it doesn't get spent, it stays in the account.
Okay, so item 6 is taking the 73,000 from the Mulberry project and re-obligating it towards this North Street.
Correct.
So we need a motion and a second for item number 6.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mensch,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Marcier,
Aye.
Cahill, Delar,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, for number 7, this is for accepting it to this project, this resolution, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second for item 7.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call when you're ready.
Cahill,
Aye.
Delar,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Marcier,
Aye.
Mensch,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, and this is a replacement resolution that whatever MFT funds go towards North Street is item number 8. Is that a okay way of saying that?
Yeah, this is just based on our last estimate that the state had approved. We just want to make sure there's enough funds obligated, and that way we're not coming back during construction.
Okay, everybody's heard that, so we need a motion and a second for that. Thank you.
Second.
Roll call when you're ready.
Delar,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Cahill,
Aye.
Marcier,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mensch,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item 9, the engineering agreement for these two sources of funds to be used towards the construction engineering on this project. Is that a correct way?
Yes.
Okay,
So moved.
Second.
thank you. And roll call, please.
Cahill,
Aye.
Delar,
Aye.
Mensch,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Marcier,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, we're through those items.
Lauren or Keith, either one. The curbing down there and the replacement of the sidewalks, is that included in this bid?
Yes.
Let me ask you this, can it be taken out and Public Works do it so we can get it started? Or is that gonna slow the process down?
That won't impact, it just won't be done by the contractor, and it'll just be, they're paid by the footage of curb or the square footage of sidewalk. So if there's less for them to do, they just get paid, they don't get paid for it.
I don't know, it was just a thought so we can move this along.
So what do you think of that, Keith?
If you have the time, and
Yeah, we can take a look at the cost, see what we can do, and I don't think that really needs a approval. If
No.
we decide to pull it out,
if it gets pulled out, it won't impact anything with the state. It's, again, it's just,
we have to have we have to add an ADA ramp on the north side of
Right,
North
right.
Street, coming from K. But yeah, we just would need to get the elevations for the asphalt so we can match everything up, but that shouldn't be an issue.
And
I can get with you
I
on that.
guess the other thought is, if Public Works does that, do we still have to hold up and wait?
no, that's far enough away from the railroad. You're not in the right of way at that point.
Okay, so then, yet this fall, hopefully, we could get those yards restored in there with those two homes.
They were doing curb on the railroad side as well, but that will need,
The only thing you guys would be able to do would be the parts down by K Street.
yeah, so we couldn't do the other side on the east side of K Street because that's in the railroad right away.
Okay, yeah.
So
The west side, you're good.
we'll
And
take a look at
it's
it.
just a thought, Lauren, if you guys are too busy, we'll scratch
I-
it and send it to the bid contractor.
We'll take a look at that and see. I don't see that being an issue.
Is there a deadline that has to be known if we're gonna do that, or if we just get it done, they come and they take a look and they don't have to do
It
as
would just
much?
come out, it would go out the bid all the same, and just once awarded, it would be removed from the contract.
How much curb is on the east side?
There's not very much. It's just up at the, it just comes around the corner there where that railroad sign is.
So we're gonna get stuck paying for half a load of concrete for 20 feet of curb?
There-
Yeah,
There's
so-
still there's still some sidewalk and
I'm
Other
just-
work
I'm
up
just
by
saying
the
maybe be
tracks.
just simple to let them do it all as opposed to just a one little
Yeah,
piece.
because
and-
unfortunately now, we're seeing minimum loads of 10, or 8 yards on a truck now is what we're being charged for.
That's for the
Really?
local?
Wow.
So, yeah.
What about the other one that,
I've been in talks with our local concrete company. We're working out pricing and minimums, but yeah, it's making it very difficult to keep concrete local, just so it's an FYI for everybody here, because I've had to use out-of-town concrete companies, and that's a decision made on cost, so.
Well.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'll take a look at the cost savings, if it's worthwhile, even if we end up getting hit with a minimum charge on concrete. See what we can do, but that wouldn't affect the project in a whole.
They can schedule the work too. I mean, there is concrete work down on Fifth Street as well.
There's some curb over there as well, so yeah.
Might have to split the stop, but you could use the load.
Need a bench in front of your house, Dennis? Need a bench in front of your house? Okay. All right, Don's house.
They could work on that catch basin in that lot there.
Okay. Are we good then?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to move on to item number 10, and this is with Nida Doable. If you could take the stand. Sorry.
Wow.
Go ahead and announce yourself, too.
She's guilty already, huh?
I'm here to talk about the police chief position. I've been talking with the mayor,
Yes.
and we talked this afternoon, and I talked to you guys the other night about a 3-person committee. The 3-person committee that I'm suggesting would be Derek Hagan, who I think you all should be familiar with, our retired sheriff, and Scott Munch, a retired police officer.
Retired.
And,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
retired. I said retired. And then myself. And it would be us 3 that would take in the employment applications and would actually run the thing all the way to the point where we feel we have qualified candidates at the end. Could be 5, could be 1, could be none. You know, we don't know. And just take it from there. This that I gave you is a very, very rough draft. I obviously stole it off the internet like you do everything else. Copy and paste is good. We need to meet with the committee, if you guys so agree on the committee, and put this together and get it going. I think it's very important that we get this going now.
Now. Yep.
The dates, if my understanding is this is a full city council meeting, so we could probably work faster, because I was taking these dates off at the end of the month, your city council meeting. So that definitely changes some things to be able to get, once we can get the committee together to get working. The job description is a copy out of the rules and regulations book that Watsika Police Department has. Those I will not change because that's already in black and white and been approved back in 2016, I think it was, something like that. So that would not change. The only thing that may change would be the requirements. I feel that associate's degree, I'm one of those people that think that even if you got 3 or 4 degrees, you may be book smart, but you may be dumber than a box of rocks when it comes to common sense. So I don't know if there's anybody here that has 3 or 4 degrees that would apply for that, but anyway, that's just my thought process on that.
So you're thinking more experience in lieu of the degree?
Yes, and I think that's very important. I think 10 years of law enforcement and 5 years of command is definitely, law enforcement's changed. We've seen a lot of that just in the last week, unfortunately. So I believe that that person has to have a lot of experience and be able to handle today's society and today's issues. And I think that's very important. And leading into that, I did not set a salary. Your present salary, I think, is 129, 130, 129, I think is what he makes now. When I had Jeremy go back, actually Kathy did it, and look at, because one thing that I believe in, and I've seen it in the sheriff's office for years, is the deputies always made more money than the sheriff for many, many years. And I feel that's totally, completely wrong, because when stuff hits, it's not the deputies you see on Channel 3 or being badgered. I don't know how many of you have followed Sheriff Campbell out of Sangamon County.
Yeah.
That's a mess. Sonia Massey, you know, the governor ended up getting involved and he ended up retiring over what one of his deputies did, and it's a mess. And that's just an example where I truly believe that we need to have a good pay. from what I've looked back, and I know some of these guys did retire, for the last 4 years, the officers have made between 107,000 and 95,000 is what the officers have made. And obviously that includes overtime, holiday pay, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So I truly believe that we have to start out with a figure larger than that. And I also believe by starting out with a figure larger than that, you're going to gain some good candidates. If you pay less, the old saying, you get what you pay for.
Yep.
And I feel Watseka deserves to have a chief that is good and knows what they're doing and has experience. And I hope we have a lot of good candidates. Unfortunately, money draws people, so that's where I think we need to be.
You
It's
have a
definitely above that amount.
You have a source that you have been talking to that has a lot of sheriff, you know, a lot of sheriffs and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes, and that's good thing with Derek being on here. He knows a lot of sheriffs in the state of Illinois, so that's a lot of things to be able to reach out to, and also background checks, and not the references that they use on their applications.
And I think you even sent me a link for sheriffs or police chiefs too.
That
so
was a
an
while back, yeah.
association, yeah. So,
When we
okay.
oh, I'm
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
That's okay. When we post this, do we post it as a firm and final salary, or do we provide a range where and I'll just use the example of 123,000 to 130 based off of their experience, and
I think that would be excellent.
it would give us some room.
Yes.
Yes, because if you have somebody in the end that's powerful,
That's a good
you
thought.
want to pay for them. If you have somebody that's not so powerful, maybe doesn't have that command experience that the others do, then yeah, they shouldn't get the total amount. So
I think that would be in our best interest. to do
Negotiable.
that.
Good thought, Jenny.
And the only other thing I asked is if, and this is me and you all know me well enough to know this, if we're going to run this, we run it, the three of us. We can't have council jumping in. We can't have, you know, backstabbing, whatever else goes on. We can't have that. If you're going to appoint us, you have to believe in all three of us. And you have to have your faith in all three of us that we're going to do a good job. And, well, okay, except for Scott. But, you know, we definitely have to, you have to let us run and not interfere.
No, that makes sense.
That's the only thing I ask, because I'm not very good at putting up with that, to be honest
Touch
with
on
you.
two things that she said. There was one year, I don't know if I should say the name, but the chief before Jeremy Douglas, that I made more than he did because of overtime.
Yeah,
And the other thing about the book smart, we had an officer years ago that went to college in a law enforcement degree, went to PTI, graduated, and 2 weeks of FTO. I think it was either he went to a DOA or he experienced something he wasn't expecting, and he couldn't handle the job. So
yeah.
all
You don't see
college
that stuff in a
experience,
book.
He read it all in the book, but when he got
Yep.
out there and did it, he wasn't.
You don't visualize that in a book.
Exactly. You can talk about it, but until you're there. So I agree with the,
Well, addressing the two things that you've talked about, one, the three-person committee, this is my own opinion. The three-person committee that you mentioned, I think is an excellent choice.
Yep.
I know all three of these people. I think they've got plenty of experience in law enforcement and know how to go out and look for that right person. So I am good with all three of those choices, and I think we need to appoint them tonight.
Yep.
The second thing is salary, and I believe minimal, we ought to start out at least 115 to 118,000. Like you said, and I'm not saying let's use that as a dividing line, but it's got to start at 115, 118.
Boss,
Be up there to get somebody decent.
the boss should make more for those points you said. So let's start off with what we need to do, unless there's other discussion. As far as the committee, unless there's other discussion, let's have it now. But I'm good with someone making the motion to go with this committee as discussed by NIDA. And a second, but other discussion. if any?
Well, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call when ready.
Anderson,
Aye.
Ko,
Aye.
Marcier,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Delar,
Aye.
Mensch.
Am I allowed to vote or should I abstain?
Abstain.
Probably needs to abstain, so do we have our 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, what else did we want to get?
Salary.
Salary. What was
Like
your range
Jenny's
that you were
idea
thinking
better.
of?
I like Jenny's idea better.
Yeah, I do too. I like her. I like her idea, absolutely.
Yep.
What was it?
I think I started at what, 120, wasn't it? I said?
118, was it 120?
Absolutely.
So 118 to 123, is that what you said?
No, she went higher.
Higher?
Well,
She
I was
started at
using-
123.
I was using it as just an example, but
No, I like your example.
Okay, 123 to 135, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, and I think maybe even 135 on the top end might even be a little bit low. I mean, depending
to
on what
me-
you have.
To me, we give them this price. When you decide who you want,
We
you
establish
can
that.
negotiate that.
But should
Right.
we also draw into it and have it written into the agreement that a 1-year review? So,
You know, you could even give them a bump after a year. I
But
mean,
that's-
they should
but
be
that's what
on,
I mean. Should it be in
probationary
writing
year.
so whomever this person is, if we do offer them something that's on the low end of the scale, and because we're a little hesitant on a couple things, but hey, let's see how you work out for the first year, and we'll have the ability then to adjust you again and have that drawn
I
into
think we've
it.
done that before.
So I would feel more comfortable if that was in
Okay.
my agreement. So.
Are you saying yearly reviews?
Well, you can draw it however you want, but a minimum of the first year. And now, are we also going to have like a 1-year probationary period, or is that already figured in? Do we have the ability
Ask your
after it?
chiefs.
Do we?
That's-
Ask your chiefs, and we can make that contingent on that if
Okay,
she finds out. Is that cool?
Well, I was just going to say, because what happens if we get a year into this and this guy's
Right.
oh yeah, I mean, definitely.
we need
So-
to have it
Well,
in
he's
writing
always
so-
at will.
Well, I know,
I mean,
but
he's
still,
always
but
at will.
if it's in the job description that says, hey, you know, we're offering you the potential for a review after a year to potentially increase your salary, but if we don't like you, we're going to show you the door.
No, 100%.
So I think
Yeah.
it needs to be in writing so the person knows up front.
Well, can we make that contingent on what NIDA finds out from doing more
Oh,
research?
yeah, no, I'm just
Is
saying,
that
it's
all
at
right?
least, yeah, sure.
And then if you think that clause
And you
needs to go
can-
in, we'll
we
do
can
it.
add
If
that
not,
and
they're at
then-
will, and
That's you guys when you make the final decision.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
You know, we'll give base prices pending on experience, and then you guys take it from there.
okay, and then the process will be, just so we have an understanding that we won't be texting, pestering.
No micromanaging.
stay
You
out
can
of your
try.
way.
You can try.
No, I'm not gonna
won't
mess
go
with you.
anywhere.
No.
You can try it. I
She's
think
going to
is
tell
what
you to
she's
go
saying.
scratch, but
Did you get my text today?
You still, you still scare me for my field placement. So.
So do we, when you run this, you run that with this salary along with the other, benefits?
Yep.
I mean, the benefits show up, right? Okay.
Yep.
And do you want your personal email on this, or do you want this coming to somewhere in the city?
I'd rather it to come straight to me.
Okay.
That way there's
I
no
just gonna say,
middleman.
because you know that, you know as well as that, is once that goes out there,
It's out there.
okay.
Ain't gonna make any difference.
Thought I'd
It's
at
out
least
there.
give you the option.
I don't want a middleman in any of this. Kathy's
Understood.
already got one application that somehow they found out about it and they've sent her an app. You know, and then she's responsible to forward it to me. I know she's very good and that would probably all happen, but everybody's human. So if anybody's gonna make a mistake, let it be me.
I agree.
I do too.
I'd enjoy yelling at you.
Anything else that I'm missing?
I have a non-police chief question. This is actually from the other night. Are we adding positions for a lieutenant that we did not have before?
Yes.
And what's the purpose behind adding?
Well, you've had lieutenants before. I believe Josh was a lieutenant, King, and then he was promoted to deputy chief.
Yep.
So lieutenant's always been there. It never was fulfilled. The reason that I believe that we need to fulfill it at this time, and also the police commission committee, is that you're restructuring your command. Off the bat, you're gonna have a police chief, and then you would have 3 sergeants. It's up to the police chief, my understanding, to bring to you who he wants to be deputy chief, if he wants a deputy chief. But I think at the beginning, the police chief, especially if he's not from here, needs assistance, help to get things going and opinions. And a lieutenant position, I feel, is necessary because of that.
Because years ago, we had chief, captain, because Potts was captain.
Right.
And lieutenant.
Yeah, it was a lot more command-topped 10 years ago.
So, chief, lieutenant, sergeant.
I'm just a
sorry.
little, I was just a little concerned about adding more administration.
You already voted on it.
I know that. I'm voicing my opinion. I didn't the other night.
Well, just thinking it from an incident command structure, you need to have
It's
the
weak
person at the
right now.
top, and then you need to have a second in command, whether they're deputy chief. You can't easily go from a chief down to a branch of 3. You need to have a second level, and then you can start branching off.
Presently at the sheriff's office, there's no longer under sheriff,
Correct.
but they have 2 lieutenants.
Yep.
And those lieutenants each have, one's in charge of jail, one's in charge of patrols, one's in charge of investigations. They split it all, so I feel it's very important to have that lieutenant position.
And with Josh retiring, that eliminates the deputy
Chief.
chief. So it does make sense, whoever, he or she, as we get a police chief, probably will need that.
I just wanted to get clarified. I'm not
Well, think of
against
it,
it. I'm
think of
just,
it this way,
No.
Benny. If the chief is gone, out of town or whatever, and something big happens, you then have the next in line,
I
instead of
understand
trying
all
to
that.
figure out one of the 3 that have to fill that role. It's already defined.
Lieutenants still stay patrol and union.
Yep.
And not management, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I believe so. Scott would know that better than I.
Yeah, it's that way in the.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope. Did we get everything you needed to go?
Yep, because we'll
Today?
just start meeting and we'll
Tonight?
get going on it.
Okay.
Thank you very much, you guys, appreciate it.
All the faith in
your
you.
work, Nida.
At least the faith in you, maybe not Scott, but.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna add to miscellaneous, and you probably did it on the meeting I missed, but our departments have been busy. I mean, I saw nothing but great reviews on the train coming to town, so Lauren, thank you and your department and the other departments today. I mean, going through town and seeing that, I wish I could have been here. So I think all our departments need some props there, and you did a wonderful job.
I think it just shows unity in our community. I mean, it's, all departments need to be on deck when things like this happen, whether it's a tragedy or a community event. We all have to support the community, and we're happy to do so. I know it tied up some manpower, but I think it was well worth it. I've heard nothing but good things,
Yep.
a lot of positive feedback from people that were part of the procession, and I think that goes a long ways for a family. It's
Yes.
tragic loss.
To support them, absolutely. And I heard on the train coming through, I heard all the restaurants were packed. So,
We've seen an uptick in all our restaurants. I mean, every one of them had a lot of people. And yeah, I went to Steak and Shake afterwards myself, and it was packed and a long wait, and everybody was patient and understanding, and the staff did well out there, and it was a short but a great little community event that really didn't cost us anything to have. It was a nice experience, and hopefully we had a positive impact on UP, and they'll bring the train back through, and seemed like they were very happy with our support for them as well. So
don't want to slight the electronics drop off, and we got some other events coming up that, especially in October, it sounds like it's going to be a busy October for the city. So
I think we just
hopefully
have
we
to
can support some of these other entities where we can and if we can.
I'm glad you reminded me of that.
community going. We have to continue the support in all our departments and working together.
And one thing I'd like to suggest, because this Watsika High School FFA has been there for a lot of things going on in the city with volunteers, I'd like to think about some kind of donation to them. I was hoping we could do $500.
The FFA is absolutely tremendous. I mean, it just, Mr. Wilkie does a great job with those kids. They come out, helped us with the flags the other day, and and he just got those kids hustling and bustling, shipping them in, shipping them out. They're great with all our community events. The festival, I mean, Wilkie's involved in so much with these kids and teaches them a lot, so we definitely need to support them.
You gotta teach the young about doing community service, so.
Before I forget, I want to update on the electronic recycling event we did have on Saturday. It was another great event. The weather was perfect. Alderman Don Miller was there, and Eric Brandt, our building inspector, helped volunteer. And again, we also had the FFA kids there. Ended up having 16 FFA kids there. We had 303 cars there in 3 hours. Wow. It was an excellent turnout. Thank goodness the contractor came early. So we had somebody there, 2 or 3 cars there at 7:30. So really good turnout. And we did take the FFA kids to a Monocle's Pizza for lunch for that day. It was a good day. Very positive.
They do certain events, and we really need to start pushing and supporting them during their pork burger events, their car shows, different things. We really need to support them as a community in return.
We got a lot of thanks from the public for doing the event.
Good. And I know you
Donation
put
for
in
them.
time too, Benny, so.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Benny, a donation for them is not on our agenda tonight, but we need to get that on next meetings.
On my,
So I'm just gonna
Next
tell
week.
Amanda to put it on next council.
I'll put it on my finance.
Put it on full council and we'll get it done.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe we gave them 300 last year.
I can't remember. I think it sounds right.
I think so, but you'd have to check and see, but yeah.
They've been there for festival. There's another event that's being planned October 26th.
Well, think of the 16 people that they had out there at the recycling center. Had you had to pay staff to offset that, you're $300.
The contractor was very happy. The contractor's very happy to see the FFA kids there.
I'm just saying, the FFA, their support saves the city a lot of money.
You guys
Yep.
all right with maybe 500?
Yeah, that's right. Finance is before full council.
Yeah, we'll do it in the finance.
So scratch the full council, Amanda, put it on finance.
Put them on both. What the heck? I mean, we gotta approve it anyway at full council, so. That's all that I have. Anybody else for the
right.
good of the cause?
Has anybody heard from Yami or anything? Is it
She is contemplating options, I guess, would be the best way to put it.
Oh, I was just making sure she was okay. I mean,
Yeah, she's all right,
all right.
so,
Contemplating options. Different.
of staying on or not.
Oh, well.
That's about the best way I can put it.
I sometimes see her in the backyard. I haven't seen her. I'm just making sure she was okay.
nope.
So,
No.
okay.
So. That's about the best way I can put it, Scott. I don't know. how else
I'm just making sure she was okay.
She is, yeah, she's above the grass.
Good.
She's fine. She's just very busy.
All right.
Well, she always is.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else? Other thoughts, questions, or concerns? Then we need a motion to adjourn if there is nothing else. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Yeah. Oh, Amanda, I got some stuff here too. Your liquor, right?